We had to move like 120 miles away. So I went from a big city environment to a small rural 1,200 population little town. It was just really tough. I felt isolated. The dad would accuse me of things that weren't true.
Mm-hmm.
One of their little 8-year-old son stole things from me. I didn't have that
Mm-hmm.
much. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
it's like four headless GI Joes. Somewhere I knocked their heads off. But I found him in his drawer, and I would
Mm-hmm.
go to his mom and dad and say, "Mr. and Mrs. Real, Marky
Mm.
has stolen some things from me." And I remember her looking at me and say, Marky would never do that. You're just not fitting in with our family.
Mm.
And I think, Monica, one of the things, even at that age, the great thing was it was giving me an appetite for truth, because these adults
Yeah.
they didn't know the truth.
Mm.
That may be true that you believe your son wouldn't do these things,
Mm-hmm.
but he did them.
He did.
And I know
Right.
it, and you don't, and you're
Yeah.
the adult, and I'm the child.
Wow.
What does that say
Wow.
about you? Those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that I would think. Like,
Yeah.
how come adults do not know the truth?
Mm.
And I think it helped me in the formation of my faith. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those little lessons as a child,
Totally.
that
Yes.
little watering of the seed that the Lord did.
Mm-hmm.
And, even in hard stuff, maybe especially in hard stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to learn those lessons. So I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in being in the valley, because
Mm.
that's where God is. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to deepen your relationship with Christ, go to the valley, not the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
at the mountaintop, there's a lot of fake people.
Mm-hmm.
But down in the valley, down in the gutter,
Gets
down in
real.
the tough stuff, that's where people are real.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I do love that even there, like your desire for truth, I mean, led you to truth from God's word, which is just huge. And talk to us about that process then, high school football coach,
Yeah.
because all of us know somebody. There's young people out there that don't have a good family, that don't know the truth yet.
Yeah.
And we might play a role in some kid that, we just see through our own children or in our community. How did all that come together? And maybe what can we learn from that for the people in our own lives?
I think, not everybody is equipped, and it feels perhaps a disadvantage if you're not athletic. And so I can only speak to that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I could play sports. I played football, basketball, and baseball. My older brothers also played one or two of those sports. And so even without the direction of a dad, I mean, we had an athletic family. And my dad
Mm-hmm.
he was athletic. He played baseball and in high school, and played Major League Baseball for a year or two.
Hmm.
So we had that ingrained in us, much like your sons. I know your boys are athletes as well. But I just think there's such a benefit from that environment
Yeah.
where, particularly broken boys, I can
Mm-hmm.
speak from the boy part. I'm sure
Yeah.
this is true for girls too, with volleyball and other things. But I remember just being in that football team, and there were only two or three of us that didn't have dads amongst the 50 or so guys that were on the team. I remember we used to do Father's Night.
Mm.
Maybe people remember that.
Yeah.
And for 4 years on varsity, I remember I'd be standing there with maybe just one other guy somewhere on the line, and we stood every 5 yards apart
Hmm.
along that line facing the
No.
home field
Mm.
bleachers. And they'd say, John Smith and his father tonight, Ed. And Ed would run out and hug his son. And yeah, for 4 years,
Oh,
they'd say, Jim Daly, who will not have a father here tonight. I was so happy for the other guys.
were
It
you?
didn't bother me that their dad was there. I was happy for
Wow.
them, but I thought, wow, that must feel good to have your dad come out.
Yeah.
But didn't happen.